Okay, again, we are doing week 6. I want to start with our language arts. It is a big bunch of language arts. I love our math, but I'll do that in a second. I've got my kids taking their test, their math test right now, which is a tough one. All right, let's get into language arts. So we are doing, again, point of view this week. Point of view is, it's essentially from the opinion of someone that's writing the article, right? So if I was going to write a point of view article about how much I love kids, that would be my point of view. My opinion is that I love kids. Whereas somebody else might walk in and say, oh, the kids are the worst, but that's their point of view. And they've made their point of view with different points and opinions and experiences. But it looks like I'm going to do a quick getting this in order so that it's not super confusing when we go back through. All right, so we're going to start with number 29, and then we'll take it all the way to 34. So let's get rock and rolling. All right, so our first one is point of view. I'm going to read the paragraph, answer the questions. Tigers are the biggest members of the cat family. These magnificent cats are solitary animals. Solitary, like solitaire. Very lonesome game to play, are solitary animals and need a large territory in which to hunt. They mark their territories with urine so that other tigers are warned away. Tigers track their prey in silence and they pounce for the kill. A tiger can eat 40 pounds of meat in one meal. Unfortunately, tiger habitats have been destroyed in many parts of Asia. Their homeland. Scientists think there may only be 3,000 to 6,000 tigers left in the wild. These mighty animals are close to extinction. So what is the writer's opinion of the appearance of tigers? So one big way that we can go through and figure out what somebody's opinion is keywords. What do they use as adjectives? What are the words that they use to explain tigers, right? So the first one is tigers are the biggest members of the cat family. So he thinks they're big, and they are. These magnificent cats are solitary animals that need a large territory in which to hunt. So this is a huge keyword. He thinks that they're magnificent. All right, next one, please make sure you put a period at the end and a capital at the beginning. All right, which word in the passage is a clue to how the writer feels about the strength of tigers? So again, like he says up here, they're magnificent, but specifically, I'm going to scan the article for the word strength, right? So tigers track their prey in silence and they pounce for the kill. A tiger can eat 40 pounds of meat in one meal. And then it starts talking about tiger habitats. So he says, is a clue to how the writer feels about the strength of tigers. Are they prey, solitary, or mighty? Well, he says specifically they're solitary, but then he says how much they eat in one go. So I am going to say mighty. Seems like the best one. Okay, which phrase best reflects the writer's point of view? Regretful about the loss of tigers? Joyful about the habitat of tigers? Curious about the fate of tigers? I think with words like unfortunately and have been destroyed, I think the sentiment is regretful about the loss of tigers. And then lastly, what point of view might a person living near the tiger's habitat have about tigers. So people living near their habitat that's getting either chopped down to build houses. I would say that if I was living near tigers, that's kind of freaky. You wouldn't probably be able to send your kids outside without that in the back of your head that they might get hurt. So, what is the point of view of a person living near the tiger's habitat? What's their point of view about the tigers? I would say, please keep them in zoos. Alrighty, you guys. So this YouTube video talks a little bit about where tigers live. I think this would be helpful.
The modern tiger was never found in Africa. It is strictly an Asian species, having evolved some 2 million years ago, probably in what is now northern China. Less than 100 years ago, tigers roamed a large territory, which spread from eastern Turkey to the far east of Russia and reached as far as the southern regions of Bali. But under the influence of various negative factors, the population drastically decreased, almost by 96%. Today, tigers may only be found on the territory of 14 countries. Modern science distinguishes between 9 subspecies of tiger. Sadly, 3 of them are considered extinct: Bengal, Indo-Chinese, Malayan, Siberian, Sumatran, and South China tigers belong to the list of surviving subspecies.
All right, there you have it, you guys. That's a little clip about just where they're living and where their habitats are being destroyed. Hey, you guys, I am back with another point of view. Read the paragraph, answer the questions. Almost all bridges have them. I'm speaking of signs that say caution. Bridge freezes before road. Many people wonder why it is that bridges freeze first. The answer is simple. A bridge is exposed to air from both above and below. When the temperature drops, heat accumulated in the bridge is released. A road, on the other hand, is only exposed to the environment from above. Heat retained in the ground actually provides insulation for roads, so they take longer to freeze. So the important bridge signs help keep drivers safe. So what is the writer's opinion of the signs on a bridge? Well, it says it right in the last sentence. It helps keep drivers safe. Helps keep drivers safe. All right, the next one. Which word in the passage is a clue to how the writer feels about signs? So if they're keeping, by the way, if he feels as though they're keeping drivers safe, does he think that they're important, simple, or exposed? I would say that he is of the opinion that they're important. And which phrase best reflects the writer's point of view? Appreciative of the signs, mystified by the signs, or leery of the signs? So leery would be nervous about them or cautious. Mystified means completely confused why they're there, or appreciative. I'd say appreciative. He thinks they're important and he's appreciative of them. And what point of view might a car driver have about the bridge signs? I would say that I appreciate the reminder. And I suppose there could be a bunch of different points of view about the reminder. Some people might say that the signs make the road look icky. So appreciate the reminder is what I'm going to put. Okay, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to write that down. So this is good for everyone to know, but these bridge ices and bridge ices before road, that is always good to keep in mind, especially around here. You just have to be really, really careful when you're going over the bridge. I almost always kind of hold my breath as we're going over the bridge when it's icy out, because it can get really, really slick. And we, looking up some of the videos, have unbelievable Niagara Falls survival story. They could talk about Annie Edson. And just for a quick look at what Niagara Falls looks like, it's absolutely gorgeous. I've never been
To
there
the
before.
news now. We are beginning in Niagara Falls, where a man survived after being swept over the Canadian side of the falls. The falls are very strong and have proven deadly for a lot of people, but not this person. Two on your sides, Dave McKinley is there, and Dave, officials are not saying very much about this.
Niagara Parks Police declined to do any interviews about this. We'll tell you more about why that is in just a moment. But first, Kate, what we do know about the incident through a statement provided by the police here. Police say at about 4 a.m. they were alerted to a despondent man near the river above the brink of the Horseshoe Falls. Arriving officers found him and then observed him climbing over a retaining wall and jumping into the river. They also watched as he was swept over the falls. Not long after, during a search of the gorge, they found him sitting on rocks below the falls near the Journey Behind the Falls observation platform and took him to a hospital where we are told he has non-life-threatening injuries. They say they will not release the man's name and won't comment on the incident further because it involved what they called...
Oh my gosh. So it sounds like a crazy guy went and jumped, but it's gorgeous. Hey you guys, I'm still trying to perfect this, but this is number 32. Let's jump right into it. Diwali is a happy and delightful holiday that is celebrated by Hindus across the world. Diwali is sometimes called the Festival of Lights. Lamps brighten streets, line building rooftops, and shine from windows. Hindus believe that Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, uses the lamps to guide her way as she comes to bless homes. Diwali also symbolizes the victory of good over evil. For Hindus, this holiday is the beginning of the new year. People wear new clothes and eat special foods on this very festive day. So what is the writer's opinion of Diwali? So usually best bet is to go within the first two sentences. They kind of let you know what direction this point of view is going to be written in. So he uses or she uses the words like happy, and another one is delightful. It's a celebration. So I'm going to put happy and delightful. Moving on, which word in the passage is a clue to how the writer feels about Diwali? They think it's evil, festive, or shine. I'm not quite sure. Shine doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is happy, delightful, celebratory, and festive. So which phrase best reflects the writer's point of view? Fearful about the holiday, enthusiastic about the holiday, indifferent. I would say they're pretty enthusiastic. Based again on their word use. So what point of view might an electrician have about this holiday? So they did call it the City of Lights. I'm going to do a clip about that. Likely, that's probably a lot of work for an electrician. They have to plug everything in and make sure nothing explodes, but they probably look at it as a lot of work. Some might even say a waste of electricity. I know some people that don't hang Christmas lights because they think it's a waste of electricity. Okay, a lot of work. Alrighty, you guys. So this is gonna show just a little bit of the kind of lighting they do for Diwali. The language he is speaking, I am certain, is Hindu, but I have been wrong before, so I'm just gonna kind of skip around and see the cool lights.
दिया हुआ है ऑन ऑफ के लिए
I guess it's not going to give us.
जो होगा
It's
इसमें
just going to
टोटल 8 मोड
give
है
us what
मतलब
kind
कि
of
आपको
lights
8
they
अलग-अलग
use.
लाइटिंग
I
इफेक्ट
thought it would be a little bit more festive than that. But let's see here. Ooh, this looks promising. Awesome. Awesome Diwali lights. Cool. So kind of like our Christmas. So the next one we are doing is number 33. It is again point of view and studying point of view from others' perspectives. Streets were a mess in 1923. Not only that, they were downright dangerous. Cars drove through intersections without stopping. So did horse-drawn carriages and bicyclists. Lots of accidents happened and many people were injured. Then Garrett Morgan invented the electric traffic signal. What a difference! Now drivers knew when to proceed or to stop. Morgan's drivers knew when to proceed or stop. Morgan's ingenious invention, one of many he made in his lifetime, was the beginning of the traffic light system we use today. This inventor should be thanked. So what's the writer's opinion of the traffic lights? He said initially started out with saying like the streets were a mess, and then there were lots of accidents, and then Garrett Morgan invented the electric traffic signal, and he says, what a difference. So I think his opinion, well, what I'm anticipating or what I'm thinking his opinion is that it makes a huge difference, right? I think I'm going to look up what roads looked like in 1923 before the accident. Okay, capital period at the end. Okay, which word in the passage is a clue to how the writer feels about this invention? It's dangerous. No, it actually makes things safer. It's electric. Or it's ingenious. Ingenious. Which phrase best reflects the writer's point of view? He is weary, which means he's freaked of Garrett Morgan, admiring of Garrett Morgan, or uncertain about Garrett Morgan. Sounds to me that he was admiring of Garrett Morgan. What point of view might a car manufacturer have about this invention? Well, there's a couple points of view. They'd probably be happy to support that driving is more of a cautious, careful system, safe way of getting around. So maybe that would sell more cars. Also, on the flip side, not as many cars get smashed up, so they might not be turning around to sell it as much. I'm just going to go with safe. Safety proves cars are a good way to get around. Okay, you guys, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to look up what 1923 roads looked like before traffic signals. And Mr. Garrett Morgan started us some traffic stuff.
Subscribe to you on
Hey, you guys. Yes, you should. So, oh gosh darn it. So Garrett Morgan, this is the guy that invented the stop signs, or the
To accomplish
signal.
great things, it doesn't matter where you start out in
And I'm hoping it shows some roads in 1923 before this, but I'm not sure it will. They didn't have a whole lot to look into.
life. African American Garrett Augustus Morgan is someone who proves this. Born in March of 1877 in Paris, Kentucky, Garrett's parents had been former slaves. At age 14, Garrett moved to Cincinnati, Ohio to find work. Many African Americans his age had to quit school when they were young and find a job, and Garrett was no exception. He spent most of his teenage years working as a handyman, but education was important to this young man. Garrett hired a tutor so he could continue to learn despite his having to work for a living. At age 18, Garrett moved to Cleveland, Ohio, and worked repairing sewing machines. Here he came up with his first invention, a sewing machine belt fastener. Because Garrett was so good at fixing things and experimenting with new ideas, many business opportunities opened up to him. Garrett started his own sewing and shoe repair shop. Then he began to look around his community and saw areas he could help fix things in other ways. He helped organize the Cleveland Association of Colored Men, which helped improve economic and social conditions for the African American community. He also helped start a newspaper, an all-black country club, and donated money to African American colleges. But Garrett Morgan's influence didn't stop there. He invented hair care products, a traffic signal, and a safety hood smoke protection device. He saw the need for this device after watching firefighters suffer from the smoke they had to deal with while doing their jobs. This safety hood saved many lives and became very successful all over the United States. Garrett used his hood to successfully lead a rescue team into a tunnel under Lake Erie following an explosion. Garrett Morgan became blind from illness in 1943 and died in 1963 at the age of 86. Throughout his life, Garrett had to deal with discrimination because of the color of his skin, but he didn't let this stop him from continuing to experiment with new ideas and think of ways to improve his community.
Alrighty, you guys, there you have. Alrighty, you guys, the very last point of view for this week, it is about Samuel Goldwyn. Samuel Goldwyn was a powerful figure in Hollywood during the 20th century. He made many famous movies. One of these was Wuthering Heights, based on a book by Emily Bronte. However, Goldwyn often bungled his English and usually referred to the movie as Wuthering Heights. Other amusing things he said were, "Include me out," and "I'll give you a definite maybe." Goldwyn also said, "I don't think anyone should write his autobiography until after he's dead." Well, he was in the entertainment business. So what was the writer's opinion of Samuel Goldwyn? So it says he's a powerful figure, and he's in entertainment, and he's amusing. Powerful and entertaining, I think, are good words for Samuel Goldwyn. So powerful and entertaining. And actually, the first time I read Wuthering Heights up here, I said Wuthering Heights. So I guess Samuel Goldwyn kind of carries through. Which of the words in the passage is a clue to how the writer feels about Goldwyn's quotes? So he says other amusing things, he says, so that would be our clue. Next one is, which phrase best reflects the writer's point of view? Annoyed by Goldwyn's statements, uncomfortable with Goldwyn's statements, entertained by Goldwyn's statements. So right alongside with them being amusing and entertaining, I am going to go with entertained by Goldwyn's statements. And the very last one is, what point of view might a competitor of Goldwyn's have about his statements? I would say, I've heard this before, but he's silly, right? He's too much of a jokester, maybe. Too much of a jokester to be powerful. Okay, you guys. So it says this Samuel Goldwyn was a Polish American. He was born in Warsaw and then moved to Los Angeles, where he became a famous film producer, director. And that's probably why he had so many funny little quirks about when he was speaking, because English was not his first language.